is Jennifer, and welcome to my tutorial or brief overview of what aspiration switching and swapping can do for you in the game. I have already earned a few points with this sim. I have not spent any of the points. The other way to earn points is to pin your whims, and that is a good way to do it. She originally started out with a muser trait, and she got that from doing the painter extraordinaire aspiration. And I have been working slowly on the friend of the world aspiration. I got some points because I have the vampire pack from a good vampire. That's why she has most of her points, because to use the computer to search for information on vampires, which if you're not doing Rags to Riches, you can just do it wherever at home if you have one, your Sims home, or if you're doing Rags to Riches and you do not have a computer, you go to this library. The one in Willow Creek has a computer. It's a requirement for any of the libraries to have a computer, so any library in the game would have a computer, and you can use it to search. And at a library, they also have the vampire lore books if you have the vampire pack, so you can reach vampire lore level 3 very easily and get those points there. And because there are actually 3 vampire aspirations, but 2 of which you can use as a non-vampire, the master vampire here, I did the same thing. I just essentially had her search twice, and she had a whim to look for search for information, so she got some extra points from that, and that was just for reading it. So she bumped up very high on her points. The other thing I've had her working on is her nature aspiration. I had her doing the angling ace, which we managed to complete the fish out of water, which was to catch 5 fish and fish at 3 different locations, and she's currently on this hooked. Mounting fish is pretty easy, but because I have the vampire pack, I haven't done that particular one yet, because I've instead converted them to plasma packs because I got high enough in the vampire lore skill to do that, because I am trying to earn money. And then for the curator one, out and about, is collect 10 collectibles, which is anything you dig up. If you get crystals or metal, they count. If you collect the fossil, you have to extract the fossil for it to be a collectible, and if you get the capsules, you have to open the capsule for it to be a collectible. But oftentimes, particularly with the capsules, they're worth more unopened. But an easy way to get the collectibles is if you harvest plants, and they count as a collectible, as do fish. Lots of things count. And so the next tier is collect crystals, frogs, and fossils, which is the one that she would be on. And freelance botanist, she needs to be at home because she has to plant some things and weed or water, which we've been harvesting and working on our gardening skill. So when she finally gets back to her home lot, she can work on that. Outdoor enthusiast comes with the outdoor retreat, and you need to go to Granite Falls, which is actually a decent way of making some money too if you have that pack. So what can you do with the points? I'm going to put her back on her original one because I have her at the library, and while we're waiting, I am going to have her... Oh, she got some earbuds, but it'd be nice if they made them fun. Hopefully they will patch that in. I'm going to have her stargaze, which is an interaction that comes with outdoor retreat, and stargazing or cloud gazing on your own or with someone else makes them inspired, which is a really good thing because I need to start 3 paintings while inspired, and she has enough money to start the paintings because she has been converting things to plasma packs. And since you get 50 simoleons per plasma pack, and since the fish you catch at the beginning are really, really worthless, it's a really good way to earn some money. So I'm going to have her stop doing that, because that's one thing that's really good about the cloud gazing or stargazing, is that as soon as it ticks, it's done, and then they are inspired there for 6 hours, whereas a thoughtful shower, you have to completely finish it. And we could do that by going over to the gym and having a thoughtful shower, but I just had her wash up at a sink. If you just have them wash repeatedly, then they get clean. Pretty clean. So the point is, I'm just having her work on this particular part of her aspiration. If I was taking her to the city, I might paint a mural so that she can work on her painting skill doing that, but I'm not. She's here. So reward store. Some of the really good traits, particularly if you're on a Rags to Riches or anything where you want to make money, if you want to take advantage, if you're friends with the sim and you want to go over and eat at their place and sleep and shower, always welcome is something that you need, and it's 500 points. I don't tend to do that, so it's not one that's of much use to me. But in terms of, you know, if you're going to do that in rags to riches or any type of thing, that's a good thing to have. We're looking now at things that are good for rags to riches. If you're going to have your sim paint or woodwork, marketable, which is 1,500 points. I kind of think this maybe affects also drinks, because drinks have value. When you make them, and whether you drink them or not, and you sell them into your inventory, they have a value. Sometimes it's good, sometimes not so good. And I had said in an earlier part where I had my vampire sim create a cure, and I just out of curiosity dragged it over to see what it would cost to sell, and it was like 11,000 something simoleons. Granted, it cost 2,500 simoleons to craft, and you needed to have 10 of plasma, garlic, and probably wolfsbane to put in it, but still, that's a huge markup on the value. But I've never tried doing it with a sim who's not marketable, because this is a trait that I buy for almost all my sims. If you want to make money quickly, this is the way to go, and this is what I'm going to be buying for her right now, because she is painting and I want hers to be worth a lot. So she's only going to have 110 points left, but that's what swapping does. It earns lots of points. The other one that can be useful as on a rags to riches is frugal, because it reduces your bills. And if you have more than one sim who can buy this trait, which is teen and up, it stacks, and I think it's supposed to be 25% off your bills, and of course your bills are based off of a percentage of your lot value, but it's tiered or graduated, so the higher your lot value, it's higher on higher amounts, but not the whole amount. The bottom tier is always at the lowest amount, and so on and so on. It's kind of like how taxes work. I find shameless is good. You never get embarrassed. You don't have to worry about them dying of embarrassment. I have had sims die of embarrassment. Steel bladder, they don't have to go to the bathroom. Incredibly friendly means that if you greet someone with a nice introduction, i.e. a friendly or the one cheerful introduction is when you get to level 4 of the charisma skill, then you know you're almost friends. It's like so quick to do it. I've heard if you have parenthood and you have the good manners trait, it kind of is supposed to do a similar thing, but I have not aged up any teens to adults period since I've had parenthood, and obviously I haven't done it with that trait. Now, carefree, if you have a sim that gets tense a lot, 3,000 points, it's very good. If you want to start a job at level 4, the connections trait, which is another 3,000 points, is also really, really good. And it was a bit broken for a while that you would start at the level, but you wouldn't get all the reward traits, the rewards and the money, and also you wouldn't unlock the things. They have recently fixed that in a patch. So if you have your sim in a rags to riches and they finally get their house and they've earned all their skills and they have lots of points to spare, if you get them this trait, when they start their job, they'll get all the bonuses all the way up to level 4, and anything that they would have had as a career reward, they will also get that in their household inventory. So that's actually a really good one, because then it also means that it takes less time to get to the top of the level because you're starting at level 4. And of course, Savant is gaining all skills much faster. I do that. I don't find hardly weary or never weary is actually not. It needs less sleep, and I find I don't notice much of a difference. If you have a good bed, it does enough. Hardly hungry, don't really notice much. We're talking about things that help. Antiseptic, I'm not sure I really notice much, but I sometimes buy that if I've got lots of oodles of points to spare. I'll do that. Independent, again, I'll get it if I've got lots of points. Frugal, the one that I get, I did miss it. It's free services. This is a really, really good one. It says all single-use service requests are free, but it's always been, and it still continues to be at this point in time, any services. So if you want to have a garden, but you don't really want to pay much, do a lot of gardening other than to boost your gardening skill, hire a gardener. They'll come Monday to Friday if you have a scheduled gardener, and you won't have to pay anything for it. Same with a maid. If you have kids, a nanny. Hire a butler if you have the Vintage Glamour pack. Anything. Any services that you want to do in the game, they will cost you nothing. I kind of like it because I find the services are a little bit glitched. If you leave your lot and come back, they will charge you even though there's nobody there or they haven't done anything. Sometimes maids will hang out forever and ever and ever because something might be where they can't get it, or there's no toy box to put toys away, and they'll charge you a fortune for hanging there and doing nothing. I don't have to worry about those glitches in the game because I tend to have free services. If you want to make it so that it's not so free, a lot of times there's an option to give a tip for 100 simoleons, and so you can pay, but it helps you when you have no money to be able to use this, but also helps you that you can avoid that sort of irritable thing where you get charged for stuff where they didn't actually do anything. That's the kind of thing that's kind of nice. I also actually like Morning Sim and Night Owl. They're 1,000 points each, and they morning build extra skill in the morning and Night Owl at night. I tend to buy that before the Savant trait because they're less points, and you can use the extra difference in the points for something else. If you're going to have them working out, Gym Rat is really good because exercising, their hygiene goes down really quickly when they exercise without this trait, but with the trait it really goes down a lot slower. It's more like a normal decay. And I also like Observant because that means you know everybody's traits. As soon as you introduce yourself to them, you get all of their traits depending on their age. It does not work so well with existing people you've already introduced yourself to. You still have to work to get them, but it still may be a little bit easier. I've not really noticed that much. It may, but it's really good when you're meeting people, especially if you don't want someone like, say, who's a kleptomaniac in your house so they don't steal things, or if you have kids and you don't want someone who hates children in your house, they might smash that dollhouse, though you might want to smash that dollhouse yourself right now since the Sims won't stay away from it. I'm just joking. Just take the dollhouse out of your house would be my recommendation if you don't want it. Want them doing that. And that's the best thing to do. Or sometimes your Sims will do it, toddlers will do it, and they get angry, which happens quite easily. But as you can see, there's a lot of traits, and those are some of the ones, like I said, marketable, because I tend to paint, is one of the first ones I get. It is in this case. She doesn't really have much value, so frugal is good when your house is worth more. It's not really that useful when your house isn't worth very much, or in her case, she doesn't have very much in her house. Though she has things in her inventory, and those things will give her bills. So if we were still living out on the streets in a Sim week next Monday when the bills come around, she will have bills as long as she has something in her inventory, which she does at the moment. And so my order that I tend to get, it does depend on my Sims and what I'm doing with them, but marketable is, she's creative, so it's the first one I got for her. And then if I'm having her at home, I might possibly get the free services next so that it can help her with the gardening and have her do other things. She doesn't have any kids, it's not quite as important, because if you have to hire a nanny to help look after kids, it's even more useful to have that particular trait. So that's kind of it for the reward store and why I really like aspiration swapping to earn more points to be able to buy the traits. There are also the potions. I don't tend to use the potions because I find I prefer to get the things that will give you longer term benefits like the traits, but the only potion I do get is if I'm playing on a normal lifespan and I'm playing a challenge that doesn't not allow you to do it. I will buy the Potion of Youth because it does turn the clock back on your Sim's current age. It will not reset them to an age below where they are. It only gets them back to the beginning. So if you ever do buy this, I don't recommend getting it until right when it's their birthday and then taking it to go back. You also need the Potion of Youth if you want to make ambrosia because it's one of the ingredients, as is angelfish and the death flower. But that was really it. I just wanted to go over the whole points, and I guess I should have... It wouldn't have been able to be a good point of comparison because she would have had to be level 10 of the painting skill, so you could have seen a before and after of what the value can be. And it's going to be more valuable, but it is a bit random. Sometimes it's worth even more. But just as an example, when I paint and my Sims are level 10 of the painting skill, I tend to concentrate on abstract and realism paintings, and because they're the most valuable. Some of them aren't worth very much, like Impressionism isn't worth very much, but those two are the ones that I find most valuable in my game. And I have had masterpieces that are worth like 10,000 simoleons, and that's because I almost always get the marketable trait. Which is why if you're trying to earn money quickly, painting and having that trait are very good. But that is also because I have home studio. I think it can happen without home studio because just the home studio is more likely to have a masterpiece is what I find. It's not that, I don't know that it gives you a better value. It just means that you're more likely to have better quality things, so you're more likely to have higher value. So Oh, the pop-up said acquired, but she is at level 2. But that's it for this part. That was just a sort of an overview of how the aspiration swapping worked. And the fact that you can see we're not losing anything, even though we don't finish it. You can go back and forth and no problem whatsoever. It's good. Some of the aspirations, you need to be on them for them to tick off. Other ones, they will kind of tick off in the background. You kind of have to play with them and learn which they are. Like, there's one where you have to have played music with the painting aspiration. Not the painting. I'll just show this here. This one is... The painting for 5 hours ticks off even though you're not on it. You don't need to be on it for that. But for musical genius, hey, here's this. She won't have any, but she has to practice music for 6 hours and listen to music for 2 hours. And that will count even though you're not actually on it. If you have done that and then flipped over and you've already done those things, they'll tick off immediately. But when you get to the next one, you need to play an instrument for an hour while inspired. Well, you need to be on that particular aspiration for that to tick off. But achieving level 4 skill in any instrument, that'll be automatic if you're at that level and you haven't been on this particular aspiration while you're doing it. I'm just sort of giving you an explanation. In an athletic bodybuilder, basic trainer, you have to work out at a gym venue. You need to be at the gym venue and do that at the gym venue. But the working out for 8 total hours, you could have done it whenever. As long as you've done it, it'll count it even if you're not on it. So that's just an example of how those things work. But now that's definitely it. Let me know if you have any questions or comments about how this works down below in the comments section. But I'd like to thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye! If you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them below. I'd love to see them. If you like the video, please leave a like. And if you'd like to see more, please subscribe if you haven't already done so. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks very much.